Hi, my name's Beans Hedio, although my court mates call me Beans. I'm a member of Kenshin and part of Initiative. Planetary Interaction is something I've been doing for 5 years, on and off. It's a really good source of income, so I figured there's no better place to start. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now, there's a few things you're going to need to start PI or Planetary Interaction. We call it PI. Those include, you're going to need a PI hauler, you need command centers, you need a plan of action, and you're going to need the skills to go with the requirements that you need. As you can see on the screen here, I've got an epithel. It's a Planetary Interaction or a PI hauler. It's a really good thing to skill into. You can make do with an Iteron 5, but you're going to get more cargo capacity with an epithel. Epithel skills wise, let's have a look. It is very simple. It takes about 15 minutes, I think. You need Glanty Industrial 1 and Spaceship Command 3. When it comes to fitting, I fit mine for speed and agility, leaving the mid slots free because I don't plan on getting caught, so I don't plan on using them. You can fit them how you like, but I would strongly suggest something like this would be, make it nice and quick, nice and easy, keeps you relatively safe. You're never safe. Undocking means you're not safe, but it definitely helps. I've got nanofiber internal structures, I've got internal stabilizers, and in the rig slots I've got medium low friction nozzle joints, and like I said before, these enable me to warp as quick as I can, because a hauler is quite slow. It's quite slow at aligning, it's quite slow at warping. It means I can jump in, align quite quickly, and get off the gate before I get caught. Second thing you're going to need are command centers. If we just go to the markets and have a look, this depends on what planets you're going to need and where they're going to be. So we'll go through how to work that out, but you're going to need one or several of these. Skills wise, you will need to skill up these skills. The command center upgrades increases the amount of power you've got from the command center to build on that planet. So the more you've got there, the more options you've got. I would say you would at least need it at 3. 4 would be advised. The second one you're going to need to skill will be the planetary consolidation. That gives you 1 extra planet per skill. So I think you start with 1. I've got it at 4, which gives me a total of 5 planets. So these are good skills to push a little bit. I wouldn't suggest, especially from a starting point of view, that you need them to 5. I think that's a little bit too far, but I think 4, it's about a day and a half. It's definitely worth doing. So the last thing is a plan. So Planetary Interaction or PI, it's not something that you can go into on a wing, basically. Like a mining belt, you can just walk to the belt and go, right, what do I need, and just start mining. PI is something you need to know what you're going to make. You need to work out where you're going to get those raw materials from and how you're going to put them together. So one of the websites that I use, that's .lan, is this one here, Eve Helper. This gives me the ability to look at what I need and where I'm going to get it from. So I like to do robotics, although sometimes, depending on the situation, I will do PI stuff for Citadel fuel blocks. But let's look at robotics, because Citadel fuel blocks are quite complicated. So I want to make robotics. I can hover over robotics here and I can see exactly what I'm going to need, and I can see exactly where I'm going to get it from, but we'll break it down anyway. So with robotics here in the green, you can see I'm going to need consumer electronics and I'm going to need mechanical parts. The chances are I'm going to have to get them off 2 different planets. To make those 2, I'm going to need to break it down. So consumer electrics, I'm going to have to extract heavy metals and non-CS. You can see there in the blue on the left hand side, and I'm going to have to turn that into chiral structures and toxic metals, which in turn I can then turn into consumer electronics. The same with mechanical parts. it's not the same, it's different, but it's the same process. I'm going to need base metals and noble metals. I'm going to need to turn them into precious metals and reactive metals. I'm going to need to then turn them into mechanical parts before I can turn the mechanical parts and the consumer electrics into robotics, as you can see there. So let's break it down again. So robotics, I'm going to go down to mechanical parts. Here is where you decide how you're going to do it. So depending on availability and depending on how many accounts you've got, it depends on how you will go about making this. If you look at the bottom part of the screen, there's a list of planets. The ones in yellow are the ones I can get both products from the same planet. So in this case, mechanical parts, I'm going to need base metals and noble metals, and I can get both of them off a barren planet and a plasma planet, if I want to do it that way. If I want to do it on two separate planets, so I would need 4 rather than 2, I can get the base metals off any of them, and I can get the noble metals off just those 2. So it's up to you how you want to do it. You can either go with one planet just getting base metals and one planet just getting noble metals and then bring them back to station, or you can go base metals and noble metals on the same planet, convert them into the processed materials on that same planet, and then bring them back to station. It's a Rubik's Cube. You can do it any way you want, and you can take it as far as you want, really. I mean, I think if you have really high skills, level 5s, you can probably go all the way to mechanical parts on one planet, but we won't go that far. Right, so the second thing you need to do, once you've worked out, I used a pad and paper. I've got a little notebook. I know, I'm a bit of a nerd. And I write it all down, how much I want from where I want it. So in this case, I will go, let's say, mechanical parts. I know how many planets I've got available to me. So say I've got one account with 5 planets. I can do one planet with base metals. I can do one planet for noble metals, and I can turn them into precious and reactive on the planet. And then I can do the same for consumer electronics. I can do, this will be the second planet, heavy metals and non-CS, and I can turn them into ciceral and toxic on the planet. That will then give me the 2 consumer and the mechanical, and I need another planet to turn them into robotics. So I would go then at that point to Dotlan. I've just brought up the forge. This is how you see where your planets are. So in this case, a barren, you just go to resources, blah, 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 planet barren, and that tells me I've got 4 in that system, 4 in that system, 1 in that system, 2 in that system. I can do the same thing for, say, lava. So if I wanted a system where I could get lava and barren, we can see the lava there. So in this system there I had, I think it was 4 and 1 lava. So if I was going to do 5 planets, 4 barren and 1 lava, that would be a good system to do it in there, wouldn't it? Or I wanted 2 lavas and, say, barren, 2 lavas and 3 barren, that would be a good system. Oops, daisy. So yeah, make a list of what you want, what planets you want to do it with. So again, we'll just take a quick one. Let's say you wanted to make biocells. So you would need to get carbon compounds, noble metals. You need to turn them into biofuels and precious metals, and then you need to turn them into biocells. And again, your carbon compounds you can get off any of them planets, and your noble metals you can get off any of them planets. So yeah. So next we will move to the setting up on the planets. Okay, here we are, ready to go. I have got my list, I've got my command centers, I've got my plan of action, I'm ready to go. So what I've done is I've changed the fit on the epithel just to accommodate for the size of the command center in the cargo hold. I'm just going to show you that really quickly. I swapped it out, the lows out, for expanded cargoes in the lows, just so that the command center itself is too big. It's 1,000 M3. So it just doesn't quite fit without the expanded cargoes. So I just fit them in just to fit this in while I set it up, and then once it's set up I swap back to the other ones. I have another fit there of warp core stabs just in case the space is really hostile, so I'll swap out to that as well. So ready to go. I tend to undock, it's just habit really, undock and then stop my ship, just so that I'm in space, but I'm not in a position where I have to focus on it too much. So yeah, right, I know from my list what I want. I want a barren planet. I know where it is roughly. To get to it on my screen I need to go to the system window, which is this system here. I'm in nullsec, same applies in highsec, and what I do is I right click on the system. No, I don't. I double left click on the system and it brings up this window here. Lots of information depending on what you want. I want orbital bodies. This shows me all the planets in this system that you can see on Dotlan. So if I've got on Dotlan it says 2 lavas, they're both there. The one that I want is this one. This is the barren planet that I want. And to get my screen centered on it, all I need to do is right click, viewing planetary production, viewing planet mode basically. And that brings me to this wonderfully detailed planet here. So again, back to my list. I know that I want to do noble metals, and I know that I want to do precious metals. I'm going to do it off this planet. So the first thing I need to do is scan these 2 boxes here. You're going to want the scan option. Let's move that down. And you're going to want to use noble metals, and that brings up basically a heat map of the entire planet, as you can see there. So you can see where all the hotspots are and all the areas in which you're going to get the best yield. This little bar at the top here is a sensitivity bar, so you can make it really sensitive or you can make it less sensitive. I tend to go with about half, somewhere about there. That gives me roughly the yield and sustain that I want. Depending on the planets you see, because if the planets are really used by a lot of people, it's going to be a lot less resources. So you want to find a planet out the way that's not being done a lot, that's got a lot of PI on it. It takes a bit of time to go through a lot of planets to find those really good ones, but they're worth it. So on this planet I'm going to just do one resource, which is noble, and then I'm going to turn it into precious. If for example I want to do the 2 on one planet, all I would do is I would look at the edge of here, at the edge of my heat spot, make a mental note of a point, say there, and then just switch to base. So I can see there that I've got some resources there for one half of it, and I've got noble here for this half of it. So if I was going to do both, that would be a good spot there, wouldn't it, where I could get this and I could get that at the same time. But I'm just going to do one resource, so you would just adopt that. It's just where you put your command center down. So leaving that open, I need to go over to the build side, which is this side of this tab, and barren command center, that's in my cargo. I'll double click on that and it brings up this icon here where I can place it down. Now because I'm only doing 1, if I was doing 2 I'd put it up here. Because I'm only doing 1, I'm going to just zoom in a little bit. I'm going to put it somewhere about there would be right. Okay, that's now down on the planet. It's just a left click down onto the planet. And then submit to say that's okay. So there's my command center. What I'm going to need to do now, remember the skill that I showed you, the command center upgrades? This allows me to increase the power. So I'm going to left click on that. I'm going to go to this one here, which is upgrade. Let me just bring it to the middle. Upgrade, and I'm going to upgrade that. If I had the 5, it would be that one as well, but I've only got 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Click there. Upgrade cost me 4 million. Okay, that now gives me lots of power to work with. So the first thing I'm going to want to do here is I'm going to start extracting my noble metal. So the next thing I'm going to want to build is a barren extraction control center, just by a left click, and that brings that into play there. So looking at me, I would want something like that. If I was going to do the 2 minerals, I would put it here so that I can get one half of one, one half of the other. Do a bit this side for a day and then do a bit that side for a day and get the 2 together. But in this case I'm just going to do 1. So I'm going to go with there, just so I get that top part of that there. It's not ideal, but it will do for these purposes. Perfect. Okie dokie. Right, so that's down. What I'm going to want to start doing now, and click submit, is I'm going to start getting the extractors out. So I'm going to left click on this. This brings up another window, which is your extraction control window. I'm going to want to go to install extraction program. I'm going to left click on that, and that brings up your program window. The first thing I want to do is these are the extractor nodes. They probably call something different, but I'm going to run with extractor nodes. I left click on each one of them. We'll just pop them out just nicely like that. So we've got them there. I'm going to want to select on the right hand side of this here. I'm going to go for noble. So if I was going for base, I'd do that. So you can see I could get that there. Noble, I want noble. So there. And I'm going to spread these out, left click and hold. Just spread these out a little bit so that I get a nice range. They don't clash too much with each other. Get a nice yield just like that. Beautiful. Okay. Now, cycle time. This is a conversation to have with yourself. I have a lot of conversations with myself. This is one of them. Time. So if you're like me and you've got a job and other commitments and you're on a regular time and off on a regular time, 24 hours, 48 hours. 24 is a little short because it means you have to do it every single day. I go with a 2-day cycle, which is 48 hours. So I'll just scroll this over 2 days like that. So that will run on its own for 2 days straight. So I know if I do that on a Monday, I've got to come back and do it again on a Wednesday. If you want to go full commitment to PI, you can go on a 24-hour rota, or you can do 15 minutes, but it means that you get a higher yield for the 15 minutes, but you've got to constantly do it, and nobody wants to constantly do this. The whole point of PI, in my opinion, is passive income. So you want 2 days is a good number. 4, 3, 4, no problems with that either. So that's that set up. So I've got all my nodes out. They're in the right place. I've got my 2-day cycle. I'm on noble, so I start extraction, and it asks me to confirm that, and that starts it rolling. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to set up the rest of what I do with that that raw material. So I'm going to want to build a storage facility. That's to put it all in. As it ticks over the 2 days, it's going to just dump it into here. So, and I'll put that as close as I can without being too close, so that the connection is as short as possible, uses the least amount of power. And I will submit that. Now, I also know I'm going to want a launch pad, because I'm going to want to get these minerals and not minerals, everything that you make off this planet at some point. So you're going to need a launch pad. So I'm going to put that just next door to my storage facility and confirm that. So when this is done extracting, it's going to want to move it to here. I have to set that up. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is set up a link. So I go to my extraction, I right click, create a link, and then I put that link on my storage facility. While I'm here, I may as well right click on my storage facility, create link, and connect it to my launchpad, and then click submit. And that just links the three together. What I'm now going to need to do is tell my extraction where to put what I've extracted. You can do either of them will be fine. I tend to just run with the storage because it keeps it nice and simple. By doing that, you go to your extraction window again, and the second one is called products. You'll need to left click on that. you need to left click on this product here that it's making and create a route. It will then want to know where to, so you want to left click on this one. It'll change those details. I've just left clicked on my storage facility. It's changed it to their destination storage facility. Create route, submit. So that's now going to extract the minerals, the materials, the noble metals out of the planet, and it's going to put it into that storage facility for me. So that's the first step. The next step I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to turn the noble metals into precious metals, and to do that I'm going to need an industrial facility, which is the second one down here. The advanced ones are for your T3s, which are your robotics. You'll need an advanced one for you to turn it into robotics, but because we're only doing T2 at this point, or P2, you only need a basic. So I'm going to left click on the basics, and I think I need, based on 2 days and the amount I'm going to extract from here, I'm gonna go with 6. I've got enough power to do 6. If you haven't got command center upgrades to level 4, you probably won't be able to get more than 6 on. If you've got 4, I think you can get about 8. But yeah, it's just something to work on, I suppose. So again, I'm going to go as close as I can, but not too close. I'm going to put 6 down. So I'm going to put 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and again to keep it close, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. Okay, cool. Submit that. That's that job done. Again, I'm going to need to connect these. Now, you only need to connect it once, so you don't have to connect it to your storage and to your launch pad. So I'm just going to connect my storage facility to each one of these just by left clicking and connect them all up, and then confirm that. Job done. So now I'm extracting my noble metals and I'm putting them into my storage facility. So now I want to install a program into my industrial facilities. By left clicking, I bring up the window, and this is immediately straight into what you want to install. So I know I'm going to want to do precious metals. So I'm going to click on precious metals and then install, and that will set that up for me. Now, to save myself time, before I click submit, I will immediately go to the route, left click, create route, and I'm going to send it to the storage facility. Done. That's keeping my noble metals in here and my precious metals in there. So it's coming from there, into there, into there, into there. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But again, like I said before, it's a Rubik's Cube, so you can do it many different ways. If you were doing 2 extractions of 2 different raw materials, you'd have these ones set up for your precious, and you'd have these ones set up for your base that you're collecting from up here. So you build up a stock into the storage facility, and then it will just ferry it out. So you can see now how you can do it different ways. So you could have 4, say, 4 of this type, and 4 of that type. I'm just going to go with 6 of one type because I've got 3 accounts and 3 characters on each account with all PI, so I've got loads of planets I can work with. So it's just nice and easy, keeps it nice and simple, and I can just work with that a lot better, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to quickly go through these now. So I'm going to put precious, create route into that one there, all left click, again this one, install, create route into there, job done. This is the part of it that takes the most amount of time when setting up a PI, is the actual setting up. And I'm doing this all before I'm losing my mind here. Before I click on submit, which I just did then, because I'm not thinking, because I can't talk and do this at the same time. Install, create route, click, 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 done. Okay, so that's all that done now. So what we now need to do is we need to tell the stuff in the storage facility to go to the industrial facilities for processing. So to do that, it's all clicking. It's a lot of clicking. I'm going to left click on my storage facility, brings up my storage facility window. And the last one you're going to need is this routes here. This shows you everything that's coming in and going out or going through your storage facility. So you can see there the end result, the precious metals are going through there into there. You can see them there. And your noble metals that are coming in, they're just coming in and just landing. So I want to send these out. I want to send these out to these. By doing that, it's the same process again. You just left click, create route, to there, click, done. And you do that 6 times. Yes, I know, 6 times. Oh, well, 8 if you've done 8. Again, can't think and click, can't talk and click. Create route, create submit. So I'm just going to do that. I'll do the others later. So that's now going to, over time, over 2 days, it's going to extract into there. It's going to drop it in there for me. It's going to put it into there. It's going to build the second tier. And it's going to put that second tier into here. To show you one I've already done, I'm going to go to industry, production, and this one. This is one that I've already done. It's been running for a while. What's happened here is because if you go to scan, it wouldn't be noble, would it? What would it be? What am I making here? I'm doing base and reactive. So base. I've gone over here to extract from here because there would have been a reason. I think I used all this up and then I changed it to go over there. So I just put it over there, extract it, and then ferried it over here. And that's doing the same thing again. It's dropping it into here, which will have nothing in it, obviously. It's taking it out to there. It's making, in this case, it's making reactive metals, and it's putting the reactive metals into here for me to come and get. Boom. So that's the process, basically. And by putting your own plan together, you can come up with lots of different ways to do pretty much the same thing, and you can take that to another level by putting maths and mind to it, and you can work out all the different how many of this you need, how many of that you need. You can take it as far as you want, but these are just basically the basics. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to go and collect it. Conveniently, I'm still sat outside this station here. Once you've set all your planets up, your top bar here, your Neocom, Industry, Planetary Production, will bring up a window with everything that you've set up there. So again, same as in HiSec as it is in any other part of space. The quickest and easiest way to do it, I do, is right click, Customs Office, Warp to. Then again, right click, Customs Office, Access. And that brings that up there. The only thing you'll need once you land is your cargo open. Nice and neatly. Not normally this neat, but will be neat for the sake of this. Look at that. Beautiful. So you're going to need to transfer this, which is in your launch pad, to here, which is your epithel, your PI hauler. By doing so, all you need to do is left click and hold this over to here. You can pay a bit of tax. Some skills will bring the tax down. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. I don't tend to worry about it. Tax is tax. And then I click transfer. Once this side, it's in the customs office. All I need to do then is drag it down to my ship and warp off. In this case, I'm going to go back home. So yeah, that's that simple. And I would do that for all 5. And then I've done it, basically. I've got my precious metals, and I'll have my noble metals, not my noble metals, my precious metals, my reactive metals, and then I will go to making a factory planet, which is where I'd basically do the same thing, just without the extraction nodes. So instead of having the extractions, let me show you while we're at it. Industry, Planetary. So here, what I would do, the same way as I took it out is the same way as I put it in. So I would go to my factory planet. In fact, shall we just show you? No, because I'm recording. The same way as I put it in, and then I basically just, once it goes into here, and then I just ship it out and turn it into the next one, and then pull it back out again. But anyway, I hope that's helped. I hope that's taught some people a little bit how to get off the mark with it. It's complicated, it's difficult, but I wish you all the best of luck and hope you make plenty of bisque.